So the problem we try to analyze is this impact of technology on thinking, on the way we think. And we already made some progress. The question was already raised by Google, by PowerPoint, by all those. But today there is a new element called big data. Big data. And this video, the problem is the same, the impact on thinking. But we're going to spend one whole video just on the big data. How is big data impacting the way we think? So, interesting question. But let's make some comments before. Because some people believe big data is going to be the solution to all problems. No, definitely not. Look around you. Lots of things have nothing to do with science. A piece of bread, of a piano. You don't need science to design those tools or those items. And first of all, part of the future is not made out of technology. That's one. Now, even for inventions possible with technology, we can have some nuance, and I will explain how through lots of histories. I selected 15 geniuses. Very different. You have like Steve Jobs, you have Freud, Darwin, Mendel, many others, and of course number 15 is anonymous because you cannot have everybody. So this one is for everybody you want. I don't want to see what was the relationship between data and their idea. Because first comment, some of them built their ideas not on data. Steve Jobs again, and Freud and Edison. Aristotle, you see just next to Edison, Aristotle and the others didn't use data, or Einstein didn't use data to build their concept, their theory. So it's a good comment. So even if the big data, big is super powerful, some part of theories are not built on data at all. So just another comment. But now we will spend some time with 6 of them who really used a lot of data to develop their theories. Let's start with 3 of them. Mendel, who lived in Czechia and made a huge invention in terms of genetic. Champollion, who understands for the first time the nature of the hieroglyph, the Egyptian writing. And Kepler, who also made progress in astronomy. So let's enter some details. What was the big data of Mendel? Something like that. He used thousands of little pieces to try to understand the basic laws of genetics. And finally, he found one rule connected to arithmetic about the way peas can keep their characteristics. The second one, Champollion. His big data, like this. Writing from different monuments in Egypt and a lot of things. And the third one, Kepler, his big data, the sky. But now, let's see the difference. Mendel found a law in genetics. How Champollion did invent find a way to understand hieroglyph, because he went against the mindset. And I go back to Champollion for a minute. Before Champollion, people were trapped in a mindset called OR. People were convinced hieroglyphs were either ideogram, symbols, or pictogram, images. Either or. No solution. What did Champollion? He broke this hypothesis. And suddenly he said, probably the solution is hieroglyphs are made both of pictogram and ideogram. That was the way he opened to understanding the way it works. Kepler Kepler is from a different kind. He found three laws, but the first one is planets around the sun, they don't have circle, but ellipse. Ellipse. Now imagine what could have been a big data. A big data. For example, for Kepler, I think a big data could have found what Kepler found. Why? Because the ellipse as a concept existed before. So what Kepler did, it was to put together a pre-existing concept, ellipse, with some patterns he saw in the sky. I think machine could do that, and big data could do that. So for Mendel, for Champollion, and for Kepler, I'm convinced big data could have do the job. Three others. Darwin, Quetelet, and Pacioli. Darwin, his big data, this. He had the chance to travel the world for 5 years on a boat called the Beagle. Between 22 and 27 around the world. Imagine the trip. So his big data was, I don't know, like tons of papers, and he looked at the sky. He noticed difference between birds and tortoise and things like that. And suddenly he found his main concept, survival of the fittest. But the difference with Kepler, survival fittest for the fittest didn't exist like the ellipse did before Darwin. So I'm convinced Darwin couldn't have been replaced by a big data. And the same for the two others. Quetelet is a Belgian one. And a great idea was to use mathematics in sociology. And the way he see the world of people, the sociology is built on mathematics. I don't think it could have been replaced by a big data. And the last one, Pacioli. Not such a famous guy. I'm not sure you know Pacioli. What did he find? A new concept. Double entry accounting. Double entry accounting. And this is amazing. Because accounting, before Pacioli is from the Renaissance. Before Pacioli, how was accounting built? Simple entry. Just plus, minus, plus, minus. Simple entry. And he had, his big data were things like that. And suddenly he has this incredible good idea. Double entry accounting. Of course, this required twice as much work. And you can imagine the resistance to change. But it made an incredible progress to the way we organize the accounting system. And that's my conviction for the three last examples, Darwin, Quetelet, and here Pacioli. Big data was not useful. Even a big data couldn't help. To make a long story short, if you think in big data, use it where it can be useful, but count on yourself to find new concept. Why? Because the key of everything is the concept. I said during lecture 2, if you want to conceptualize, you have to forget. The concept of restaurant is born when somebody forgot details of the place where he had lunch. Then you have the concept. The only way to conceptualize is to forget. By definition, big data cannot forget. So don't expect any new concept out of big data.